kind of a big transition. Some new things that people, or new tasks that will pop up as you move into a home and own it. So getting started, one of the big things as far as renting versus owning is when you are an owner, you are responsible for the interior and exterior maintenance of your home rather than having a landlord be in charge of that. So with that, one of the best things that is not known by a lot of people is how cool home warranties are.
I know you love home
I love
warranties.
home warranties. I love talking about them. So, Colleen, can you tell us what a home warranty is?
Yeah, absolutely. And that transition between renting to home ownership, I think can come as it's quite the shock, especially if you have been a renter for quite a long time, to realize the buck stops with you, that repairs are now on your shoulders, that there's nobody to call, no property management company or no landlord to pick up the phone and say, hey, this isn't working anymore. So yeah, home warranty is a really great tool to have, especially as a new owner. So basically you pay an annual premium. So you're paying a yearly fee, and it just depends on what you want included under that home warranty. It can range, I don't know, between say $300 and $600 a year, which in comparison to, a single repair, it could cover it right away. Home warranties cover anything from, plumbing issues, water heaters, furnaces, appliances, air conditioning units. And they will send out their repair person for a small service fee. They'll come, they'll fix it, and you're done. And so that's a home warranty.
They're the coolest thing ever. The reason I love them so much is we had this stove, and when we moved in, and it's a Genair, which I didn't know was like the Cadillac of stoves.
Very expensive, yeah.
Yeah, which was a shock. I didn't know stoves were that cool, but they are. And one piece went out, and the one piece itself alone, without any labor or anything, was $900.
Ooh.
And so that home warranty, thankfully, we had paid $75 for that person to come out and take a look, and that saved us a lot of money and frustration because that would have costed us an arm and a leg to get fixed.
For sure. And I get a lot of people that ask, when do I call the home warranty company and when do I call my home insurance company?
Great questions.
And so your home insurance covers sudden and accidental losses. So hail damage to a roof, or a car drives through the garage door, or a pipe breaks because it suddenly froze and under pressure exploded. Those things are covered under your homeowner's insurance. So sudden and accidental. Your home warranty is going to be your majority of your maintenance items on the home. And it could just be that it wore out, just like your stove. Like that piece just came to its end and there was no accident. It wasn't, anything happened to it. It just stopped working. And that's when you can call your home warranty company.
Good way to think of it, I think, is like structure versus like appliances when it comes to home warranty. So your homeowner's insurance won't cover the fridge, but that home warranty will.
I would say read the fine print too on your home warranty. We moved into a new house that was recently remodeled, and when they were installing the baseboards, they pricked a pin through one of the baseboards, and behind that was the water heater. And so it caused this, slow water leak in the brand new house. So we had to replace baseboards and some carpet. But my husband, being as handy as he is, just decided to go for it, do it, and then tell the home warranty company after. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. You've got to call them first.
Well, that is a great point. Read it and make sure you know what those things cover. Now, if someone just wants to go at it and repair things on their own, but they're kind of a novice at home repairs, they're not like your husband who's super handy and can fix things super quick. Do you know of any like classes or any kind of resources available to help? Yeah.
The Home Depot, they put on a basic home repair workshop. You can learn how to fix just basic items. So check out their calendar, and as well as check with your home inspector. So when you're purchasing a house, you're going to hire a home inspector to come and take a look at everything in the house. They're going to look at for all your appliances, your furnace, your air conditioning. They're going to look at plumbing. They're going to look under the house. They're going to look at the roof. They're going to look at everything. Make sure that you show up at the end of that appointment. Let them do their thing. But at the end of the appointment, go meet with them, talk with them, see what's wrong with the house. But then also say, where is the water shutoff valve? Sometimes it's in the yard. Sometimes it's at the street. And they can tell you those things. Same thing with how to turn the gas off. Where the electrical panel is, how to see if one of the breakers is popped, how to turn the water off at the sink or the toilet, anything like that will give you a really good kind of 101 of the house and how to take care of those things in case of an emergency.
And that's huge because when water's spewing everywhere, it's hard to think rationally and hard to think of okay, this is where it might be when everything's going crazy. So
yeah, I have a red tag on my water heater that's very, very obvious of where to turn it off.
Oh, that's so funny. That's perfect though. I mean, it's good to have that stuff handy. I was doing a workshop in one of our pipe bursts, and my wife calls me and is like, "Where's the shut off?" And I told her, and so she shut off the main line, but not the sprinkler line. And so I was like, "I don't know, call my dad." And because I could say that calmly because I wasn't there, but
right.
Thankfully, Dad came to the rescue and shut that off. But it's important that you know where everything is shut, where everything can shut off, because eventually, I'm sure something like that's going to pop up. Inevitably. So with those inevitable problems that come up, it's kind of important that you have a nest egg, so those purchases or those things aren't a huge hit to your budget. So how much would you say you should set aside for a nest egg for things like that?
Well, I think there's two different ways to think about this. There's your general maintenance, and then there's also capital expenditures. Capital expenditures are going to be big ticket items that are going to have to be replaced at some point. So let's take a roof, for example. Say that you buy a house that was built 10 years ago and it's got a 30-year roof on it. More than likely in 20 years, you're going to have to pay for a new roof. So figure out in today's dollars, tomorrow's dollars, what that roof is going to cost, and then divide it by, how many years left you have in order to save up in the meantime to when you need to replace it, you have the money already. So that can be true for a furnace, that could be true for, a fence, any type of big ticket items that are going to be coming down the line. You want to make sure that you're saving for monthly for, a year, 2 years, 20 years in the future.
That's huge because, again, you don't want to ever be surprised, especially with big bills. We never ever like to see big bills pop up and mess up our budgets. We have so much more to cover and so many more exciting pieces to cover when it comes to transitioning from renter to owner. But we do have to go to a short break. But before we go, could you tell everybody your contact information, Colleen, if they wanted to talk to you?
Of course. You can reach me at 775-560-6734 or my website, brickandmortarnv.com.
And then I am Grant Brewer of the Nevada Rural Housing Authority. I am talking with my good friend Colleen about transitioning from renter to owner. So if you are listening, watching us, however you're doing it, please stick around because we have so many more great things to talk about. So stick with us.
The Butcher's Kitchen Charbecue invites your family in for the best wood-fire, slow-cooked barbecue rotisserie and open char pit food around these parts. Charbecue on the corner of Virginia and Huffaker presents sliced Santa Maria tri-tip, beef brisket, and ribeye. Charbecue redefines homemade pork and specialty sausages. The all-meat chili reigns supreme in Reno. Charbecue, The Butcher's Kitchen, 7689 South Virginia at Huffaker, Winners Crossing. Get in and get real. Charbecue, Reno.
Targeting cancer cells with DMSO reduces the need for full-dose chemotherapy by up to 90% because DMSO targets cancer cells, not healthy cells. Research demonstrates that DMSO, also known as dimethyl sulfoxide, has an affinity for cancer cells, which also allows DMSO to enter them even when DMSO is carrying chemo drugs. Could low-dose chemo with DMSO be the answer you've been searching for? Find out more by calling Dr. Dan Royal at 702-5 562-1454. When low-dose chemo is combined with DMSO or insulin, it's called potentiation therapy. This is because the cancer-killing power they create together is much greater than when they're administered separately. Are you a cancer patient who wants more than disease management? Could low-dose chemo help you achieve optimal health and wellness? Call Dr. Dan Royal at 702-562-1454 to see if you qualify for low-dose chemo. That's 702-562-1454.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown matters. Get down to Midtown.
Ponderosa Meats, the anchor of Midtown since 1954. USDA choice, USDA prime cut. Ponderosa grass-fed beef. Call 775-322-4063. Ponderosa Meats, tradition, quality, and prime service.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown matters.
Hello, I'm Omar Rains, author of the international best-selling book, Back to the Summit, How One Man Defied Death and Paralysis to Again Lead a Full Life of Service to Others. Now in its second edition, Back to the Summit has been reprinted in countries worldwide. All profits from the sale of this book go to support humanitarian causes of lasting importance. However, the principal reason for writing the book was to inspire others who, like me, have been faced with a major medical challenge. Back to the Summit is available in hardcover, paperback, or as an ebook. An audio edition is also available. Whatever the modality or format, it can easily be ordered on Amazon or from your favorite bookstore. Whether you read or listen to Back to the Summit, I hope that it will serve as an inspiration to you or to someone you know. Again, I'm Omar Rains. If you wish to learn more, my website is zenorains.com. That's SENORAINS.com. Have a wonderful day.
Hi, I'm Leslie Moon. Join Shonda Golden and I every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for American Women, where we'll talk about issues affecting all of us with select guests.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
And welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining or sticking with us. I am still here with my good friend Colleen McCoy of Brick and Mortar Properties, and we're talking about the exciting transition from renter to homeowner and some of the big transition pieces that are going to change for you. And one of those biggest changes is you're going to be paying a mortgage rather than rent. So instead of someone else's mortgage, you're putting that money into your own pocket. And there's a couple of things that roll into that. So Colleen, can you tell us what is rolled into a mortgage payment?
So initially, it's your principal and your interest, and those two things never change. So if you get a fixed interest mortgage, say it's your 30-year fixed, your principal and your interest are going to remain the same every single month for 30 years. The only thing that's going to fluctuate is the taxes and insurance. And so what happens is lenders will go ahead and they set up what's called an impound account. You can also think of it as an escrow account. Basically, you're putting money into this account with your mortgage payment every single month for 12 months. And then your mortgage company goes ahead and they pay your taxes and they pay your insurance annually.
Which is nice because, every year the city and county still sends you a bill for what your property taxes are. And that's a big number. Usually when you open that, it takes the wind out of your sails because you're like, I'm going to have to pay this much in taxes. But thankfully, you're covered because you've been making your monthly payments. And am I right in thinking that most mortgage companies and most people have to pay into an impound account?
It's the impound account is optional, but it's a great idea. It's a forced savings account so that when that payment comes annually, you don't even have to worry about it. The only thing you have to keep an eye on is that there is a little bit of fluctuation year to year in your taxes and in your insurance. So just make sure that you are keeping an eye on the payment that's due. Say if it's every January you're looking at your payment amount and just making sure, because mine's automatic. So it's automatically pulled out of my checking. It goes to the mortgage company. I just have to be sure I'm making the right payment.
Right, that's true. You don't want to be making too much or too less. So that is all important and all good. Now with most rents, sometimes things like gas or utilities are rolled into that rent. So is that the same case when it comes to a mortgage, or are utilities bills rolled into that as well?
Typically, no. So, you pay your PITI is what they call it, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and your mortgage payment. You're going to have to pay separately your water, gas, trash, power, and the only way sometimes it's wrapped up is if you're in an HOA, that a community interest, that maybe the water and the trash are paid to the HOA, so you're not actually physically making those payments yourself on a monthly basis. But it really just depends. Every HOA is different.
Okay, that's all good information. And then one other piece of being a renter and a homeowner is if you get some really loud neighbors or some really crazy neighbors that are shooting fireworks off and stuff, you can't relocate as easy. You can't just be like, "Hey, landlord, I'm done. Wash your hands." So
Out of here.
they have to. How does that work now? If someone gets some neighbors they don't like, they can't just pull up. They have to give you a call, right?
Yeah, call me and I'll help them sell it.
Perfect.
Your first call. But yeah, typically this is why you see renters, two friends in a house renting it together. They're not financially bound to each other for a very long period of time. So this is when just make sure that you're thinking long term when you buy that house, that you're willing to commit at least for a few years to that home. Obviously, if we're in an up market, you go to sell the home, you make a profit, great. If you just sell the house and break even and, something that you just have to get out of the house, then there's nothing wrong with that either. There's also the possibility of renting the property out, say that you have to move out of state, out of town, and then receiving rental income to cover that mortgage payment and hopefully a little bit more.
That would be so nice. I'd love to have some rental
There you
income
go.
from that. Yeah.
There's a lot of accidental landlords that end up like that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest risks or biggest changes, feelings of going from renting to owning your own home, is there is a bit of financial risk involved. So there is a chance of foreclosure if you default on making your payments. So are there very many foreclosures happening now, Colleen?
No. Obviously, with the big recession, we saw a lot of foreclosures, especially in Nevada, one of the hardest hit states. I pulled up some data. There's 37 properties in Carson City that are in some stage of foreclosure. That could be default, auction, or bank to own. That's out of 287 properties on the market for sale. Same thing with Reno. There's 169. That's, again, some stage of foreclosure, though. That's default. They miss one payment. They miss 5 payments. They're on a repayment plan, something like that, or auction or banked owned. So, I think we're seeing a little bit more than last year over year, but still nothing crazy.
We like nothing crazy. One thing that was crazy that you told me before the show was that on Zillow, sometimes when you look at the properties or looking up properties, it says like for sale, rental, and then there's one that says pre-foreclosure.
Yeah.
And what was that you said? That
Exactly. So, there's a lot of buyers that'll call and say, "Hey, I saw this house on Zillow," and you go, "Oh, great," and and you say, "Okay, I'm having a really hard time locating this house that you gave me the address for. What did it say exactly?" And they say, "Oh, it says pre-foreclosure." Basically, that means that the person living in that house may have missed a payment, may have missed 2 payments. They're in the very early stages of the foreclosure process. They could get back on track and never have to worry about foreclosure. So the house isn't actively for sale. Nobody's looking to sell the house at that moment. So.
And that's excuse me, that's important to know because so many people jump on Zillow and see a house that looks really nice, and it's nice because someone lives there and keeps it up, and maybe just missed a payment. That's what blew me away, is that it could just be one payment that they may have missed, and they're labeled that way.
Exactly. So contact your real estate agent, and they have really good resources that are out there that can get you the information that's accurate, the houses that are actually for sale on the market.
And if you pay your mortgage, you don't have to worry about foreclosure. That's really the biggest
Just
bottom
pay it
line.
on time.
Pay your mortgage
Pay it
on
early.
time. Yep,
Pay it
exactly.
in full.
Exactly. Now, one thing that I've been seeing a lot of with my particular age group is a lot of them kind of are standing on the sidelines and waiting, and what they're waiting for is the bubble to burst or for a recession. And prior to the show, you and I were talking, and I wanted to give you a chance to share your thoughts on if we're close to that or if it's advantageous for someone to purchase now.
Well, I have to say, I don't have a crystal ball, so
That's
I
important to
don't
know.
anything for sure, but I can speculate. And I do know that historically, there's a market correction every 10 years, and we're pushing past that 10-year mark. So I see a slowdown in the future, especially with an upcoming election. I don't see anything like the 2008 recession, though. I encourage buyers, whether they're first-time buyers, second, third, or investors, just to have some long-term goals, long-term home ownership goals, and sufficient savings in place in case the market does shift. So if you plan on living in the home or investing in a property for the long term, you can generally avoid the turbulence in the market. Personally, I still invest in the market today, and mainly because the interest rates are fantastic.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to lock in a 30-year fixed interest rate mortgage, and I'm happy to lock that in right now. So as long as the cash flow is there for me on my investment properties, and it's there for me, meaning the rents are where I want them today, plus I look at worst case scenario, what if the rent does decrease? Am I still, where I want to be financially? And then of course I'm going to keep buying today, and I'm still going to save money in case, anything down the road does happen.
Absolutely. And one other thing that you and I were talking about is how much stricter the loan guidelines and underwriting guidelines are now versus what they were in 2008. You just had to have passed the mirror test. If you looked in the mirror and someone was looking back at you, you could get a loan. But now it's a little different. They run your credit, verify jobs, make sure you can pay that mortgage back. And that's a huge piece into keep creating a healthy market. And you see also with purchase prices, what we were talking about, our Facebook Live viewers can see my hands, but the people on radio can't. So with a bad mortgage market, you see a big spike and you see a big drop. Healthy ones, you see a steady incline, which is important. And that's what we're seeing a steady incline. But it's important, like you said, we don't have a crystal ball, but bottom line, and this is what I'll say, is if you can afford a mortgage now, there is a great time to purchase a home. Anytime you can afford it, it's great. And one other piece of what you said, we have had incredibly low interest rates. I've never seen them lower in our program specifically. So if you can afford it, I would not sit on the sidelines and wait for something bad to happen.
Solid advice.
So Colleen, if someone is ready to put their foot in the door and purchase a home, how can they contact you to talk about that?
Sure. Colleen McCoy at Brick and Mortar Properties, and you can reach me at 775-560-6734, or you can go to my website, brickandmortarnv.com.
And I am Grant of the Nevada Rural Housing Authority. I am one of the Home at Last specialists, so I do the down payment assistance fun stuff. So if you have any questions regarding down payment assistance and how you can get started in the early stages, feel free to give me a call. My number is 775-887-1797, or you can contact me via email at grant@nvrural.org. This has been Home Matters, and next week we will be live with you with another super exciting show. Next week, I believe I have one of my other coworkers on, so we'll talk about some of the great things we do at our agency. Thanks for being with us.
Join the Funtime Theater this fall as we make the history of the Comstock come alive with Voices from the Past, a walking tour of the Silver Terrace Cemetery in Virginia City. Each year, 12 actors portray past residents of the Comstock, sharing their life and death in the Old West. Shows are Saturday and Sundays, September 28th through October 13th at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. daily. Visit funtimetheater.com to make your reservations and use promo code RADIO for $5 off each adult admission. That's funtimetheater.com. Promo code RADIO.
Hi, I'm Noreen Leary, CEO of the Veterans Guest House. Guest House is a home away from home for our veterans and their families who travel to Reno for medical care. Our house is more than just a warm bed. It's a place of camaraderie where veterans can find support and long-lasting friends. We serve veterans, men and women, young and old, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Wherever they hail from and whatever their circumstance, the Veterans Guest House is ready to support them. The reason we feel so strongly about our mission is that we know that many veterans would forego their medical treatments because they simply can't afford the accommodations. The guest house is one of a kind in the country, funded entirely through private donations. Want to know how you can help? There are many ways you can be involved, from volunteering, providing dinners, or supplying items from our wish list. Find out more about the guest house at www.veteransguest.com.